Contractors have, they've really never had more cash flowing into their order books, yet their profit margins are just actively vanishing.
It is the absolute definition of a market wrapped in contradictions right now.
Totally. Well, welcome to this deep dive, everyone. Today, our mission is to unpack a freshly dropped construction market intelligence report. This is from March 13th, 2026.
And it is a dense one.
It really is. We are going to map out exactly where the money is flowing, where the massive margin risks are hiding, and how the smartest businesses are adapting. Because for you, the listener, if you want to stay informed without drowning in spreadsheets, you need to know this stuff. The sources we're looking at today are sending these wild, almost unbelievable mixed signals.
Yep. Mixed signals is putting it lightly.
Right. Because on one hand, we have data center spending just exploding by like 5 times its previous rate.
Yeah.
Yet builder confidence is shaking, housing permits are dropping, and get this, a surprise early heat wave is threatening the labor force on the ground.
What's fascinating here is that while there is an absolute abundance of work, historic levels of money entering the system, contractors are actually facing a hidden crisis in profitability.
A hidden crisis?
Yeah. The revenue is there. The top line numbers look fantastic on paper, but when you get down to the bottom line, the margins are just, evaporating.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the single biggest force of gravity in the market right now, the mega project black hole.
Ah, yes, the data centers.
Specifically data centers. I want to set up the sheer scale of this for you because the Construct Connect January 2026 data is staggering. Data center construction spending has hit $53.7 billion year to date.
And that was just through November of 2025, right?
Exactly, just through November. That is a 138.6% increase. They are projecting it to top $60 billion for the full year.
The trajectory is what you really need to pay attention to here. The 4-year compound annual growth rate from 2021 to 2025 is 98%.
Wait, so it's basically doubling every single year?
Every 12 months, yeah. The amount of capital poured into building data centers just doubles. And the sheer physical scale of these individual buildings is completely warping the broader market.
How so?
Well, the average cost per data center project is now $597 million.
Wow.
Yeah, we're talking about $960 per square foot for an average project size of over 620,000 square feet.
Almost $1,000 a square foot for what is basically an industrial building.
Right, but to understand why it costs that much, you have to look at the physical realities of what actually goes into these structures. A data center isn't just a warehouse with some servers shoved in it.
It's a lot more intense than that.
Way more. You are pouring heavily reinforced concrete to support the immense weight of those server racks. Mm-hmm. You are installing massive redundant power grids, industrial scale liquid cooling systems.
Right, the chillers.
Exactly. Specialized HVAC chillers that weigh tens of thousands of pounds. The sheer volume of structural steel required just to hold all that roof-mounted cooling equipment is astronomical.
And it's highly concentrated geographically, too, which just compounds the whole issue. Like, the data points out that 74% of all this spending, that's about $40 billion, is happening in just 5 hotspots.
Let me guess. Texas.
Texas is huge. It's Louisiana, Texas, Virginia, Mississippi, and Pennsylvania. We are seeing massive specific call-outs in the report.
Like the Cyrus Zone project.
Yeah, the Cyrus Zone data center in Whitney, Texas.
Yeah.
That's clocking in at $500 million. Then there's the TX12 data center in San Antonio at $448 million.
Unbelievable numbers.
And QTS DFW2 in Wilmer, Texas, dropping $290 million on multiple buildings. Out of a tracked 6-month pipeline of $69.2 billion, just 17 mega projects account for 93% of that value.
93%. Just 17 projects.
Just 17. International capital is flooding in. Balfour Beatty is targeting this exact sector with a record order book of 22.7 billion pounds.
It is a phenomenal amount of concentrated capital. Mm-hmm. And it operates basically like a massive gravitational pull.
That is the perfect way to think about it. I was thinking of them as giant whales in a small pond swallowing up all the resources. Or, yeah, black holes.
Black hole is right.
They are bending the orbit of the entire local supply chain, just inevitably sucking in all the regional steel, concrete, and logistics.
Which is great if you're in the right trade.
Oh, for sure. If you are in the electrical, mechanical, or concrete trades in places like Texas or the Southeast, this is the biggest growth opportunity you've ever seen.
Yes.
But because these black holes are eating everything, they are causing massive disruptions for everyone else. Specifically, they require an astronomical amount of oversized material.
And you can't just throw that stuff in a regular truck.
Exactly. You can't put a 40-ton HVAC chiller or massive precast concrete panels in the back of a standard enclosed delivery trailer. You need flatbed trucks.
Which brings us to the crucial supply chain bottleneck right now. Flatbed spot rates have hit $2.26 per mile.
Which is up, what, 12%?
Yep, a 12% year-over-year increase, according to DAP Freight Analytics. The principal analyst there, Dean Croak, he actually noted that the flatbed market has been, quote, on fire for 18 months.
On fire! That's rough for everyone else.
It really is. This is where the hidden crisis begins for the rest of the industry.
Right, because imagine you are bidding on a standard commercial job in Texas right now. Even if you aren't building a data center yourself, your material delivery costs are spiking simply because you exist in the same zip code as these tech mega projects.
Exactly. That $60 billion data center boom is actively competing with highway repairs, bridge construction, regular commercial builds, and industrial warehouses for the exact same very limited fleet of flatbed trucks.
And you can't just make more trucks appear.
No, the supply of flatbeds is relatively inelastic. You can't just spawn 10,000 new drivers overnight. So when 17 mega projects suddenly demand thousands of flatbed deliveries a month, the cost for everyone else just goes through the roof.
Okay, so if the black hole is sucking up all the flatbeds and driving up logistics costs, what happens to the rest of the commercial pipeline?
That's a big question.
When we look at the broader planning pipeline, the Dodge Momentum Index, or DMI, for example, it dropped 7.3% in February, down to 250.0.
But we should note, the planning pipeline is still historically robust. I mean, it is up 18.7% year over year.
True.
It's normalizing after a massive surge late last year. But you are seeing a shift in what is actually getting planned. Warehouses were cited as the only real commercial bright spot.
Which leads us to the real paradox in the data. The Associated Builders and Contractors, the ABC, they put out a construction confidence index.
Right, the February 2026 data.
Exactly. And it shows that contractors' expectations for sales are rising. Their expectations for staffing are rising. Both of those metrics are firmly in growth territory. But their profit margin expectations are actively falling.
The divergence between sales and profits is really the defining story of 2026.
See, I have to push back on this because from a basic economic standpoint, it feels so counterintuitive. Wait, if your order book is full, your sales expectations are up, and you are literally turning away clients because you have so much work.
Why are profits falling?
Yeah. Why are profits falling? Why can't contractors just raise their bids to cover those flatbed trucking costs we just talked about?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really comes down to the fundamental mechanics of how commercial construction is priced versus how it is actually executed. We call this the margin trap.
The margin trap. Okay, explain that.
So in commercial construction, bids are often locked in months, sometimes even years, before the actual materials are purchased or the heavy machinery is turned on. You win a project based on yesterday's math.
Oh, I see.
But you have to build it using today's reality.
So you win a bid in early 2025 thinking logistics will cost X, but you break ground in 2026 and suddenly you're paying data center premiums for a flatbed truck.
Exactly. And it goes far beyond just the flatbed trucks. The biggest culprit right now is the cost of energy. Oil is currently sitting at over $120 per barrel.
Wow, $120.
Yeah. ABC's chief economist, Anirban Basu, made a very pointed observation about this. He warned that while contractors remain optimistic about their pipelines, that confidence may not survive the precipitous increase in oil prices.
Because oil touches absolutely everything on a job site.
Everything. Think about the compounding effect of $120 oil. It is the diesel fuel powering the excavators and the trains. It is a fuel surcharge added to those already expensive flatbed deliveries.
Oh, right. The fuel surcharges are probably massive right now.
Huge. And it's a core chemical component in asphalt, roofing materials, and PVC piping. Every single time a piece of material moves, or earth is dug, or a roof is laid, you are paying that $120 a barrel premium.
So you have this nightmare situation where revenue is technically high. The top line looks amazing because you're building a massive warehouse, but every single dollar flowing through the business is getting eaten alive by fuel, materials, and logistics costs that were simply not accounted for in the original bid.
That is the margin trap. You are working harder, managing bigger projects, and taking home less money.
And you can't just go back and ask for more cash.
No, you cannot go back to a client 2 years into a fixed price contract and ask for another $2 million because diesel went up. You just have to eat the loss.
That's brutal. Okay, so if the commercial side is trapped by skyrocketing logistics and energy costs, you might think the residential market would offer some kind of safe harbor.
You'd think so, yeah.
But the ground reality there is shifting rapidly, too.
Oh, the residential data is sending some of the most fascinating mixed signals in the entire intelligence report.
Let's pull up the Census Bureau housing data for January 2026. Housing starts are up to a 1.487 million seasonally adjusted annual rate.
Which is a solid bump.
Yeah, a 9.5% year-over-year bump. So on the surface, activity is booming. But then you look at building permits, they are down 5.8% year-over-year, dropping to a 1.376 million rate.
And single-family permits specifically are slipping.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting, and I think it's a great way to visualize this for you listening. Think of housing starts as the current temperature outside. You step out the door, it feels warm today, there is a lot of activity happening right now. Think of permits as the weather forecast. It might be warm today, but that forecast, the dropping permits, is telling us a freeze is coming in Q3 and Q4 of this year.
That analogy perfectly captures the economic divergence. And the data on housing completions supports that forecast entirely. Completions are down 7.5% year over year.
So things are slowing down at the finish line too.
Yeah, when completions fall, it means the supply pipeline is tightening up, which points to a softer demand environment late in 2026. Residential contractors who are busy framing houses today need to prepare for that incoming freeze in new orders.
But that residential freeze might be a few quarters away. Contractors are dealing with an immediate physical threat right now that is actively destroying daily productivity.
The weather.
The literal weather. OSHA just issued an early heat wave warning for California employers. We are seeing unusually high temperatures arriving in March, way ahead of the typical summer heat season.
This is incredibly dangerous because workers simply haven't had the time to acclimatize to high heat yet. Their bodies aren't ready for it in March.
Right, it's totally out of season.
And construction is specifically named as one of the highest risk industries for this kind of sudden temperature spike.
The regulations kick in hard at 95 degrees. At that temperature on an outdoor worksite, OSHA requires mandatory shade access, strict water availability, regular observation of employees for signs of heat illness, and specific communication methods.
And it's not just the state either.
No, the unions are not taking this lightly. The International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers has already activated comprehensive safety protocols. They're mandating shade structures, providing electrolyte packets, and enforcing frequent mandatory hydration breaks.
We have to view this through the lens of the margin trap we were just discussing, though.
How so?
Ensuring all of these protocols are followed takes significant administrative time. It takes site supervision. It physically slows down the pace of building.
Right. It's not just about buying a few coolers of water. It's the hidden cost of lost momentum. You have to take a highly paid foreman off of quality control or schedule management and basically turn them into a hydration monitor with a clipboard.
Exactly. And failure to comply isn't just a safety hazard. It results in severe citations and massive fines from OSHA.
Ouch.
So imagine you are a contractor. You are already squeezed by $120 oil. You are paying premium rates for flatbeds.
You can even get one.
Right. You are worried about the residential permit drop, and now you are facing strict compliance costs and potential fines if you miss logging a single mandatory hydration break. It's just another heavy layer of risk eating into those already thin profit margins.
If you are running a construction business right now, you have to be asking yourself, how do I actually survive this? Because you cannot control the macroeconomic cost of a barrel of oil.
Yep.
You can't magically manifest more flatbed trucks. You can't change the residential permit numbers, and you certainly can't control OSHA mandates or the literal weather.
This raises an important question. When every single external factor is actively working against your margins, how do you scale? How do you maintain profitability when administrative burdens, compliance tracking, and logistical oversight are eating your bottom line?
That's the answer.
The only lever you have left to pull is internal efficiency. You have to ruthlessly optimize how you manage the data and the processes of the build itself.
Which brings us to the final piece of this market intelligence report. It focuses on how businesses are attempting to beat the trap using systems and tech. Specifically, enterprise tools powered by artificial intelligence, like Smart Business Automator.
Right.
When we look at the capabilities of these platforms, they map directly onto the exact crises we just outlined.
It's all about taking the friction and the manual hours out of the management process.
Hold on, I have to challenge this though. We just spent 20 minutes talking about how contractors are squeezed to the absolute limit. Their margins are vanishing.
True.
So how on earth do they justify the massive capital expenditure and the learning curve of rolling out a new enterprise AI software system right now?
Because the cost of not having it is what's bankrupting them.
Okay, fair.
Let's look at the ROI of specific features. Take the supply chain issue. If flatbeds are delayed because of data center hoarding, an AI tool with schedule risk detection can review your thousands of lines of project activity and foresee those logistical bottlenecks weeks before they actually happen.
Oh, wow.
It allows you to reroute materials or sequence the job differently before the delay cascades into a massive financial loss.
So you're catching the problem while it's still cheap to fix.
Exactly. Or look at the margin trap itself. Tools that offer budget and variance insights track cost movements in real time.
Like the price of asphalt.
Yes. So if the price of asphalt spikes due to that $120 oil, leadership sees that variance trend immediately across their entire portfolio. They aren't finding out 3 months later when the budget is already blown and the project is underwater.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about the administrative burden? We talked about the foreman becoming a hydration monitor for OSHA.
Consider tools that offer automated RFI and document intelligence. An AI system can instantly extract the mandatory requirements from a dense 400-page PDF of safety regulations or complex project specs.
Oh, that's huge.
It ensures teams are catching compliance gaps immediately, without a human superintendent having to spend 4 hours cross-referencing paperwork in a hot trailer.
So, what does this all mean? It means we are witnessing a fundamental evolution in how this industry operates. Construction is rapidly moving from a game of pure physical logistics and manual labor into a game of data management.
Without a doubt.
If a project manager can use an AI assistant to automatically summarize daily field logs, track budget variances in real time, and instantly search years of project data just using natural language.
Like asking a system, hey, what were the specific heat protocols and supply chain delays we faced last March?
Exactly. If they can do that, they can oversee significantly more projects. They can scale up their operations without adding the massive administrative overhead that usually kills margins.
It is the most viable way to break the margin trap.
Yeah.
You cannot outwork $120 oil, but you can outmanage the inefficiencies in your own systems. By letting artificial intelligence handle the document sorting, the compliance tracking, and the schedule risk analysis, the human beings on the team are freed up to actually solve the physical problems on the site.
It's working smarter because working harder just got way too expensive.
Precisely.
Well, let's briefly recap the journey we've taken today. We started by exploring the colossal $60 billion data center boom, those black holes bending the supply chain.
Yep.
We traced the ripple effects of that gravitational pull into a highly constrained flatbed trucking market. We unpacked the dangerous margin trap, where historically full order books are being slowly drained by $120 oil and rising input costs.
A paradox.
Exactly. We saw the warning signs in the residential market where current starts are warm but dropping permits forecast a looming freeze. We looked at the on-the-ground reality of early heat waves and how compliance risks in California eat into administrative time. And finally, we discussed the essential pivot toward AI and data tech to maintain profitability when macroeconomics are entirely out of your control.
You know, I want to leave you, our listener, with one final concept to mull over, because the irony of this entire situation is truly profound. We are currently watching billions of dollars and massive physical resources, structural steel, specialized concrete, enormous amounts of energy being poured into building the physical infrastructure for artificial intelligence.
Data centers.
That is what those data centers are. While human housing permits are actively declining, we are literally building the homes for AI.
Oh, wow.
The provocative question is this: will this very AI, once it is fully online and housed in those $600 million megastructures, be the ultimate tool that finally solves the supply chain bottlenecks and margin traps that we are struggling with today? Are we building the very minds that will save the industry?
Wow. We are building the homes for the AI that will figure out how to build homes for us. That is a wild thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the March 2026 intelligence report. Keep questioning the data, watch out for those margin traps, and stay curious until our next deep dive.